So interestingly, Bobby, come here real quick. This is my twin brother.
Okay.
So he moved in with me there you go.
Hey.
In the beginning of the year, right? He was 260 pounds, type 2 diabetic, and he moved in January. I said, dude, enough is enough. Let's take care of this. He started living my lifestyle. Dr. Letterman from Forks Over Knives took him off of his diabetes medication day one. All right, completely reversed his type 2 diabetes in 1 month. Your blood pressure normalized in like 3 weeks. And as of today, he's lost 60 pounds.
That's great.
So, I mean, it's just, when you, like I said, when you get the environment right, everyone can make remarkable change. It doesn't matter.
Cool. That's awesome. On episode 5 of Health Rebels, we're speaking with a gentleman who lost over 160 pounds by just changing his diet and lifestyle. But he also beat crippling depression and an addiction to prescription drugs. Please welcome Adam Sud. So let's get started. Adam Sud, Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I want to start sort of a mental timeline here and give people an idea of what happened when. So can you start out with life before you became healthier and got to where you were right now in terms of your weight? I read your Forks Over Knives article where it said you were battling with depression, you were battling with an addiction. Can you kind of lay that out for us?
Sure. So I started my plant-based lifestyle 4 years and 1 month, basically 4 years, 1 month ago. And the reason why I know it pretty much to the day is because it's the day I also went into rehab. So I was 320 pounds and I was addicted to fast food. I was addicted to Adderall. I was severely depressed. I was eating, 6 McDonald's cheeseburgers a day. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I was constantly sweating when I was in public, so I didn't like being around people. And my apartment was just covered in trash. And, my whole life existed in this filthy apartment. And it was all about how much drugs do I have? When am I getting more drugs? If I don't have any, I'll go get some McDonald's cheeseburgers and then just food come out until I can, come up with a plan to get more. So that was my life. And I wasn't working because, I couldn't work. I was just so obsessed with my destructive lifestyle. So.
And what were your drugs of choice?
It was Adderall, which is an ADHD medication. And I got prescribed Adderall in high school. And, at the time, and I've never been a type A personality, and my father definitely is a type A personality. So when I was going through puberty and, looking for a male role model to sort of base what I thought a successful man is, that's what I thought I needed to be. And when I first realized that if I take more Adderall, I could stay up all night and get homework done, I also found out that I immediately become a type A personality, and I don't have an appetite. Going through puberty in high school, you want to look a certain way, and you want people to look at you a certain way, and I found that was a way that I could control my weight. But 10 years later, it just destroyed my metabolism, and I think the average prescription is something like 20 to 40 milligrams. By the time I was 28 years old, I was taking 450 a day. So it was a dangerous situation.
So, what changed, and what was the turning point for you?
I overdosed one night, and I don't think it was on purpose or anything like that. I mean, I know that I wasn't battling suicidality. I know that I didn't care about my life anymore, but yeah, it's a really scary feeling when your heart starts to race and you get dizzy and you feel like you're going to throw up, and usually you do. And then I passed out, and there's certain degrees of overdosing, and I woke up several hours later and went to the hospital and sort of lied about the scenario and the situation around my overdose in order for them not to ask for or require a psych eval. Went home and then immediately called my dad. And it wasn't until last weekend that I actually admitted to him that I overdosed, and that was the reason why I called. I just called and told him, I need help, and he knew what was going on. So, yeah.
So you get to rehab, and that was, that was your path to better health, correct? So sort of take us from rehab and talk to us about what changed, what things changed in your life.
So when you first go into rehab, even if you check yourself in like I did, you're going to spend the first 24 hours in an area that's sort of like a medical quarantine, where they're going to strip search you. They're going to do medical tests, basically biometric screening, blood tests. Essentially, one, to make sure that you're not bringing contraband into rehab, because nobody goes to rehab sober. I wasn't sober, but I wasn't bringing anything extra in. Also, they want to check with any doctors that you have been seeing beforehand and, understand your medical history. And then they want to make sure that you're not dealing with any diagnoses or diseases that you aren't aware of. And that was very much my case. I found out after, I think, 24 hours of being in that medical quarantine area that they call MAS, where I went to rehab, that I was a type 2 diabetic with high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And luckily, about a few years before I went into rehab, my dad had sent me to the Engine 2 Plant Strong Immersion. That's Rip Esselstyn's program that's partnered with Whole Foods Market. It's a corporate wellness program, and now they're actually partnered with Forks Over Knives, and they just offered their immersion to the general public. The entire thing was open to the public. And I learned that if you adopt a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, that you can reverse disease in the body, you can treat disease in the body, you can prevent disease. And I knew that I was going to die from my food just as easily as I was going to die from my drug addiction. They were both substance abuse for me. And in my opinion, if you look at the standard American diet, it's a substance abuse. And so I decided right then and there that I was going to go 100% plant-based. And now in rehab, there's not a lot of control you have over your food. I made the best choices I could. I'm not sure if I was 100% oil-free in all situations, but I did what I could. But when I left rehab and I went into sober living, and I walked into sober living and I saw the pantries and the kitchen were stocked like it was stocked by a teenager from the 90s. I mean, it was Eggo waffles and Totino's pizza rolls and, sugary cereal like Fruity Pebbles and sodas, everything that I couldn't eat. And I told the house manager, listen, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I'm trying to reverse my type 2 diabetes with a plant-based lifestyle. I signed a contract with you guys requiring you to offer me food. And I remember thinking people may leave this facility, 2 months down the road, a year down the road sober, but no one leaves healthier. And the guy said, okay, well, what do you need? And I said, well, I haven't really done this before, but I know I like oatmeal in the morning. I know I like black beans. I know I like steamed broccoli, and I know I like fruit. So can you get me that? And that's what I ate every single day for 10 months. And as a result of doing that, I reversed my diabetes in 3 months. I lost 100 pounds in 10 months. And in a year, I was off of all 7 prescription medications I was put on in rehab, including the antidepressants and the mood stabilizers.
That's awesome.
An unbelievable, turn of events.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you still eat those foods today, or have they gotten like completely old?
No, I still eat them, but it's I eat a lot of other things too. I mean, just recently, because I eat 2 breakfasts, because I get up at 4:30 a.m. and I'll eat oatmeal, and then I'll go for a run, then I'll come back and I'll eat like 1.5 pounds of steamed butternut squash with cinnamon on it.
Wow.
Just sort of, I mean, I'm certainly not lacking for eating volume with this diet.
Yeah. You 4:30 a.m. every day? Every day?
Yeah, every day.
What do you like? What fills your mornings from 4:30 to 7? Let's say.
I go for a run. So yeah, I go for a run every morning, and I just honestly, I can't wait anymore to eat. Like, I just love the food that much that when 4:30 rolls around, I'm like, forget it, I'm getting up, I'm gonna go eat my oatmeal.
Yeah. You say that so casually, like, I just go run at 4:30 in the morning. That's something that I need to do more of. And once I just made a movie of my training calendar, my cycling training, and I'm probably going to have to wake up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning starting in about a month to get training. So you're my inspiration, Adam.
Well, I'll tell you, I do go to bed at 9. So that helps.
Right. It balances it out on both
Yeah,
sides.
it definitely balances it out.
So I'm glad you spoke about loving the food. And for the viewers, I mean, I know the answer to this, but I think I want you to emphasize to the viewers that in a whole foods plant-based lifestyle, one that got you that what's your total weight loss now up to this point?
160 pounds.
Okay, so you lost 160 pounds, and
Yeah.
you shook your type 2 diabetes, and
Oh,
so was there ever any calorie restriction?
no, you don't even count them. I mean, that's the thing because all the foods you're eating are under 600 calories per pound, no matter what you're eating. I mean, I think the most calorie dense thing that I eat is a sweet potato, which is like 400 calories per pound. So, there's a lot of, because I don't really do, I mean, I do a little bit of avocado, but I don't really do nuts and stuff like that because I love eating. So I try to eat as a diet that is high volume, low calorie, high nutrient density. And that's really what the basis of this diet is. A lot of people believe that when they say, oh, you can eat as much as you want and never gain weight, and they don't understand that because they're eating a lot of vegan junk food. But on this diet, if you're eating a diet that is this calorie light and this nutrient dense, I mean, to reach your caloric intake that you need to eat every day, eating broccoli, you'd have to eat 15 pounds of it. You just can't do that.
Sure.
And I think it's something like close to 8 pounds of sweet potatoes. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'd love to try.
No, I eat the same 5 or 6 things like all week, every week, all month, and it's delicious. It's tasty, super tasty. I'm curious, in your Forks Over Knives article, and I think in your Rich Roll podcast, you also mentioned that in rehab, your type 2 diabetes diagnosis rattled you more than your addiction to Adderall. And I'm curious if you can kind of expand on that a little bit and just tell us why.
Well, at the time, it was very hard for me to not just understand, but to admit a lot of the intangible things I was struggling with, the depression, my entitlement issues, my anger, and my addiction. I could say, oh, I just have a high tolerance. I could say, oh, I'm not angry. I'm just, I'm a passionate person. I could deny those things. But the type 2 diabetes, I couldn't deny it. There was a number on a page, and there it was, blood sugar over 320. My weight was over 320. And from attending RIP's immersion, I had learned that these are lifestyle diseases. This does not happen to me unless I do it to myself. And it was the first time that I had to accept responsibility for my destructive lifestyle. And for the first half of the day, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I got very angry and I left. But there was a realization that came over me when I was going over the information that I'd learned at RIP's immersion, that if I'm the cause of my problems, then I get to be the solution. If I caused this, then it is 100% my choice to reverse it. And that gave me so much, confidence that it was, all I had to do was this. If I did this, if I switched to eating a whole food plant-based lifestyle, if I put a low-fat, whole food, plant-based foods on my plate, it would be almost impossible for me to fail in terms of reversing the diabetes. And that's what I made my recovery about, because it was trackable. It was an enemy on the page. It was something that I could see daily positive change. And also by eating these foods, I created an environment for myself where every single day I had actions of positive change. It was an environment for remarkable change. I could come home pissed off and emotionally eat this food all I wanted. And at the end of the day, I'm still better off for it. And so my actions could not be self-destructive. And I think in that case, it was a huge benefit for me in recovery, and I believe for anybody who's going through lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's funny you brought that up because I did have a question here where I was going to ask you to expand on a line from your Forks Over Knives article, and the context was in the article was you were speaking about losing your first 40 pounds and your blood sugar levels had dropped from 300 to 120. And you said, quote, "What this showed me was that I am the one who changes my life. If I accept responsibility for my situation and do the necessary work to change it, my life becomes better, even if it's uncomfortable at first. And that's pretty much exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And so what I was going to ask you was, let's turn that motivation, let's turn that into a pill and have people swallow that. That kind of motivation. How do we motivate and inspire people to sort of take responsibility of their own health like you did?
Well, I think that there's something empowering in realizing that you're not at the mercy of your genes. Your diagnoses are not your destiny. That it is 100%. Okay, yeah, it was 100% my fault. Great, it was, but it's also 100% my responsibility to change it. And because it's not something or someone else that is causing my situation, I don't have to wait for those things to change. All I have to do is change. And I read The Pleasure Trap by Doug Lisle. It's an amazing book. And it really taught me what I believe is the one invariable truth to lifestyle change. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable on a daily basis. If you can do that, your chances for success are so great. And if you can't do that, good luck.
Yeah.
Because nothing changes in your life if you're comfortable. And so many people who are stuck in these destructive lifestyles, I mean, human beings like what's comfortable even when what's comfortable is killing us. And, especially when you add in the dopamine response that the standard American diet gives us, it's essentially just, like I said, it's a substance abuse. And it's a way of self-soothing. And you look at a lot of recovery institutions, it's just eat this food, eat the junk food, because, at least you're not on your drug. Well, it's going to kill you just as quickly.
Mm-hmm. This kind of leads us into our next question. And I think you touched on this throughout this whole interview. But I want to convey to people that, how should I put this? I guess why did you succeed when so many other people before you who have tried to diet, who've tried to lose weight, have failed? How would you quantify that?
That's a really tough question. I think that I believe so much in the science of this diet, and it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And I almost died. And I truly believe that if I wasn't successful, that I wouldn't have the strength to try again. And, I remember being in my sober living, and it's with 12 other guys. It was football season, and they'd be huddled around the TV with their pizzas and their burgers and their sodas and everything that I didn't want to watch football and eat kale. I'm seventh generation Texan. I like barbecue and football. But I remember telling myself, if I can't have another cheeseburger, if I can't eat meat again for the rest of my life, then that's just my reality, because that was going to kill me and I don't want to die. And sure, I guess I could look at it as a reward to have a cheat, but when you know exactly what those foods do to your body and do to you in terms of your health, it's very difficult to allow yourself to have a feeling of reward by saying, okay, I'll just, I'll have it once. And, diets don't work. Lifestyle change is the only thing that works. And, I'm not 100% sure if I would be sober today without the whole food, plant-based lifestyle. I might be, but I guarantee you I wouldn't be happy and healthy. Mm-hmm. And I know that would always lead me back to my drug.
Someone's watching this and is super inspired by you and your story. Give us one or two pieces of very general advice for people to just get started.
Yeah. Some people get really, they get overwhelmed with all the recipes. You get Rip's book; it's got amazing recipes, and they're fantastic. You go to any of the books, John McDougall's, Neil Barnard's, Dean Ornish, Joel Furman, all these amazing plant-based doctors and coaches who are doing incredible things. But I'm assuming you and we don't eat like that every night. I certainly don't make it. The lentil loaf every single day. I rarely do it. I have certain foods that I know I eat every day that I know I like, and they're always around. And that way it's never an issue, because if you think about it, even when I ate the standard American diet, I ate pretty much the same things every single day all week long. But people think that they need to have this, complex recipe, this complex foods on their plate every single night in order to experience the pleasure of eating. It's just not the case. You just have to get through that period of adjusting to these foods, and then just a steamed sweet potato with a little bit of cinnamon on top is going to be amazing. I mean, that's what I'm going to eat as soon as we're done. So, I mean, it's have the foods that you like, make it simple. When I coach people, we do a bowl where, you have your base, you have sweet potato, brown rice, and then you do, beans or lentils, and then, you add your vegetables and you put a topping like the Engine 2 marinara sauce is fantastic, or a salsa, just to make it simple. And, keeping it simple is the best way to do it. But, my big thing is just you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the way to do it.
And keep it simple. Keep it simple. If you were to, so to speak, toot your own horn a little bit, Adam, what's the most important or powerful learning lesson you'd like people to take away from your experience, from your health journey?
That there's power in humility. There is let me see how do I want to say this. I would say that there's strength in humility, that there's power in an apology, and there's greater awareness when pride is set aside. That the ego wants us to believe that we're perfect the way we are, and until you get past that, until you accept that you are responsible for the way your life has turned out, and maybe I think that everybody can sum up their life in one sentence: it didn't go according to plan. And the only way it's going to change is by your actions. You can't wait for someone else to ask you to do it. Just like I can't want it for anyone else, no one else could want it for me until I wanted it. But, lay your pride aside and ask for help, because so many people are out there. There are so many people. There's so many social groups online that want to give you their advice on how to change your life, whether it's your health, whether it's your lifestyle in terms of the actions that you're doing. Maybe it's a drug addiction, maybe it's an addiction to some other substance, whether it's gambling, sex, whatever. There are people that you can reach out to, but until you're ready to be comfortable being uncomfortable and set your pride aside, nothing's going to change. So,
I like that answer. And that pretty much. I just have a couple more that are they're very casual. First is I want to know, what's it like to meet and speak to Rich Roll? How was that experience?
It was pretty awesome, because he and I had no connection to the guy whatsoever, but I had read his book.
Yeah.
And I think I was 2 years out of recovery, and I had lost about 150 pounds at the time, and I said, you know what, just find him on Facebook and send him a Facebook message. He'll probably never write me back, but whatever. So I wrote him this letter explaining everything that I went through and how inspired I was by his book, Finding Ultra. And, I sent him a message on Facebook. And I think it was like 12 hours later, I get a message back from him saying, wow, man, that's awesome. Come down to my office in Malibu and let's record an episode on my podcast. And I was just blown away. I went down there and we recorded for probably 3 hours. And if you're a fan of his podcast, he's such a great interviewer.
Yeah.
And since then, I recently presented at PlantStock in upstate New York with Rich. He was one of the featured speakers. I'm going to be on the weekend of the 28th, the Engine 2 Cleveland event. Rich is going to be there as well. I know he's in Italy because he has his Plant Power Italia thing, which is, I'm sure it's incredible.
Yeah.
Where it's a week-long immersion in Italy with traveling and everything like that. But he's a cool guy, and he's a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that next, I think it's in August, is that immersion event in New York in Claverack, right?
Yeah, that's the PlantStock.
Do you plan on going to that next year in 2017?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, because
speaking, yeah.
Oh, you'll be speaking. So I would really like to go to that. I'm like 5 hours away or 6 hours away.
Oh my God, then you totally should go.
I know. I need to just put it on my calendar.
The Esselstyn family farm is worth it because it's one of 2 farms in the entire state of New York to be owned and operated by the same family for over 300 years.
Really?
and it's just, you know, there's like 11-bedroom homestead that sits on this property. It's just gorgeous.
That's cool.
And then the speaker lineup is unbelievable.
What were you just recently doing in Arizona? Tell us about that.
That was the Engine 2 immersion. So I've been a speaker at the past 3 Engine 2 week-long immersions. Engine 2 was originally only offering them to Whole Foods Market employees as a corporate wellness program. Whole Foods will pay to have employees that want to go sent out to Sedona for a week with Rip Esselstyn and the entire Engine 2 team. Amazing speakers like Doug Lyle and Dr. Michael Clapper. Garth Davis was there in May. And, you know, it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet style Engine 2 foods, which is just, I mean, it's amazing. So that's what I was doing. In October was the first time. They've been doing this for 10 years, but in October was the first time it was open entirely to the public. So anybody that wanted to go could sign up. And, you know, they partnered with Forks Over Knives that helped with the marketing. So it's called a Two Forks event. So Engine 2 and Forks Over Knives, Two Forks. And it was, you know, I mean, it's the best week of my life.
Yeah. How was the turnout? I mean, I'm sure the public went crazy.
It was amazing. We got people in 6 days. People were going off their insulin. They were going off of several medications. The average weight loss, I think, was something around 5 pounds. I mean, I think the most was 10. And this time we had Mylan Ross speaking, who he's amazing. He did the Stoll immersion, and in his 1 week of doing the immersion, he lost 33 pounds.
Wow. 1
week. Now he was over 500 pounds, but still, I mean, you can't argue with results.
Right.
That's his line. You know,
right.
You can't argue with results.
And it was, and in these immersions, it's eat as much as you want, right? It's still eat as much as you want.
That was great because I oversee people weighing in since I now work as a counselor for lifestyle change. They asked me to oversee people getting on the scale so that they don't feel judged or whatever. And on the final day when they're weighing in to see how much they've lost, everyone's like, I gained weight. I know I gained weight. I've never eaten this much in my life. And then they step on the scale and they've lost 5 pounds and they just freak out.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's not so much about the weight loss as much as it is about just living a healthy lifestyle. Because when you eat this way, you lose weight as a result of getting healthy. Whereas with restriction diets, you're trying to get healthy by losing weight, and it's just the wrong way of going about it.
That's a great way of putting it, and I think, Adam, that's a great way to end it. If you just want to, how can people find you on social media?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook at Adam Sud. I also have a public page called Plant-Based Addict, and then my Instagram is AdamSud82. And then I have a website that's under construction right now. It's called Whole Recovery. So WHOLE-recovery.com. And that's where I'll be, you know, if you want to look me up as a private coach, things like that, you can find that out on that website.
Cool. Well, Adam, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed speaking to you. We're going to gather all this information and put it up on YouTube in a couple weeks. And I hope that we meet at that event in Claverack, New York.
Oh, me too. It'll be great.
Cool.
Because we go on a run. You know Josh Lajani?
Yes, I do.
So he and Garth Davis and everyone, they all go on a run first thing in the morning on day one. So you got to come join us.
I will. That's going to be exciting. Thanks so much. Hey, we'll meet you soon.
Okay, great.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.